All right, welcome to the Sincity Tactical Show. Today we're going to be doing a patriotic message, a Pro 2A news, some tactical gear reviews, and putting down the new information that's coming out. Make sure everybody's up to date with what's going on, like on the pistol brace laws, things like that. We do have some video clips in the actual live stream that's going to be happening, some educational stuff. Let's go ahead and bring in Jax. What's up, Jax?
Can't complain. Weather's above zero, so.
Absolutely. you said it's above zero?
Yeah. It's a whopping 14 degrees.
There you go, there you go.
Come Friday, we're supposed to be down, negative teens possibly, so.
It's 50 degrees here. We're hoping for a no groundhog seeing shadows tomorrow. I believe that's tomorrow, Groundhog's Day. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we'll definitely verify that.
Yeah, send that 50 degrees my way, would you?
If I could, I would, man. You could definitely have it. But all right, let's go ahead and get right into our patriotic message.
If we look to the answer as to why for so many years we achieved so much, prospered as no other people on earth, it was because here in this land we unleashed the energy and individual genius of man to a greater extent than has ever been done before. Freedom and the dignity of the individual have been more available and assured here than in any other place on earth. The price for this freedom at times has been high, but we have never been unwilling to pay that price. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look. The sloping hills of Arlington National Cemetery, with its row upon row of simple white markers bearing crosses or stars of David, they add up to only a tiny fraction of the price that has been paid for our freedom. Each one of those markers is a monument to the kind of hero I spoke of earlier. Their lives ended in places called Belleau Wood, the Argonne, Omaha Beach, Salerno, and halfway around the world on Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Pork Chop Hill, the Chosin Reservoir, and in 100 rice paddies and jungles of a place called Vietnam. Under one such marker lies a young man, Martin Treptow, who left his job in a small-town barber shop in 1917 to go to France with the famed Rainbow Division. There on the Western Front, he was killed trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We're told that on his body was found a diary. On the flyleaf, under the heading, "My Pledge," he had written these words: "America must win this war. Therefore I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone." We must realize that no arsenal or no weapon in the arsenals of the world is so formidable as the will and moral courage of free men and women. It is a weapon our adversaries in today's world do not have. It is a weapon that we as Americans do have. Let that be understood by those who practice terrorism and prey upon their neighbors. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever. We are Americans.
All right. So, what I took from that patriotic message is one thing only: have heart, have courage, stand for what you believe in, make an impact every single day of your life, and do what's best to achieve your dreams and your goals. What do you think, Jax?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, the country, with what we've been through in the last couple of years, I feel like we all need to start pulling back together as one and start putting this country back together, especially after the pandemic. You know, guys like us in our day jobs, we go out there and make a difference to provide comfort in that to people's homes to help them out. And if more people would actually, make the effort to bond with their brethren and sisterin of this country, it'd make it a little bit of a better place.
Absolutely. So, to speak on that, obviously my day job, right? I've got um, a diverse group of guys that I work with, from all races and all different nationalities and things like that. And it's cool. It's cool to see that we can all make it all work, and do our best on a daily basis. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where when we grow that bond together, and if we could demonstrate that to the whole country on how, you know, having a good relationship with just your fellow being next to you, how we could grow and be a huge impact in our world. We were looked at as a superpower to all of these other countries, but I don't feel that we have that superpower nature anymore. If you look back in history, it's one of those things where the country was a lot more together than divided. Of course, obviously, there's exceptions to that, like the Vietnam War, which obviously we all know there was a lot of issues when it came to the civilians versus the military side of things on that. I mean, you have a military background. If you want to speak on that a little bit, Jax,
Yeah.
and kind of give me a input.
Yeah. So, I had family, especially growing up primarily in a military family. My great uncle was a part of Vietnam. And when they got home, they were labeled as child murderers and basically outcasted from regular society. And so it was hard on them coming home from going through and seeing what they had to see over there and then trying to readjust to civilian life once they got home. So there's divide there during that time period that obviously being prior military myself, I kind of disagree with the fact that it happened. It shouldn't have because they were over there fighting for our country to keep us out of harm's way, obviously. That's kind of what we do. Now, granted, there's other reasons why wars are fought, but primarily we go over there to make sure it doesn't end up on our home front.
Absolutely. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here. There's some situations where, and once again, I appreciate your service, man. It's something that, I wish I could have done. Didn't get the full opportunity to do so. But with that being said, playing devil's advocate when it comes to that situation, right? I understand us going to other countries and trying to help liberate them from tyrannical governments and things like that. But when do we draw the line to say, hey, we've done what we came here to do? We're talking about your Osama bin Ladens and those type of situations, and then pulling back out. If you look at the military as a whole, World War II obviously ended a long time ago. And with that, we still have a large American presence in Germany. We don't allow them to just do whatever it is they want to do. And when we speak about a free country with our own living situations, to me, that's kind of being contradictive to the situation. Now, obviously, I get it. We don't want nuclear bombs and things to be made because we will be a target. I think we're on a lot of lists for a lot of countries to be that target. So I feel like go achieve the mission. If the people, the civilians of those countries, do not want to change and all they wanted was for us to remove a leader that was causing them harm and genocide and things like that, we've done our job. Get our boys and girls home. Bring them home.
Well, I don't disagree with you. I mean, the Iraq war has been over now for years, and we still have troops over there. We pulled out and then ended up going right on back. So I mean, it's ridiculous that we go and fight these wars and everything's all said and done, but yet we're still over there. And from my understanding, right after the Iraq war, a good portion of the rebuilding process was coming out of U.S. government funding.
Absolutely. And speaking on that too, and this has always made me laugh, and it's not funny though. A lot of the situations where we're going into these countries and fighting to try to liberate or do whatever it is that we're there to do, we've supplied them with party favors to fight against us. I do not like the fact that we are arming potential enemies. Now, I understand we're not big in the export, industry, right? But to give away technology that we have in our country to other countries that could be potentially used against us is not something that I'm really okay with. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Okay, so just from my personal experience, like I get where you're coming from, but as I was on my way of ETSing on out, we had a system that was basically like a laptop that you mount inside the Humvee, and it's got like this communicative system, kind of like, your instant messenger from like the AOL days, basically, and old school mapping systems and all that in that database. As I was getting out, they were phasing that out and bringing in a newer, more modernized version of it to where it had a lot more system capabilities compared to the old system. So yeah, could that old system still potentially be used against us? Sure. But with how far advanced our military, our weaponry, our technology is compared to other countries, I think even though we did gift them party favors and they have some of the old technology, we're still one step ahead. So I mean, that's something that, we got to think about it as a country too. Like, yeah, is it the smartest move? No, but is it something that's going to be extremely detrimental to us here at home? Probably not. I mean, only time will tell if they do decide to grow the balls and be stupid enough to try us.
And to speak on that, right, a little bit more in depth on my thoughts, at least on it. M1 carbine, stamped October of 1944. That gun made its way through a lot of different things, conflicts and everything else, and more than likely has a body count on it, right? So knowing that knowledge, right, is crazy to me. This firearm is still just as deadly as that firearm. Now, obviously, you were speaking on modern technology and things like that, and clearly this one is the modified modern firearm. I've got suppressor attachments and green dots and magnifiers and hand stops and all these things on it. But my point that I'm making to it is, and I watched a video clip earlier today where I literally saw what is called it's either a PSLR 1 or a PLSR. No, I think it's PSLR -1, which to me, the way it was described to me is that it is an American version of an RPG and accepts and will fire RPG warheads from practically any model of RPG that you have. We're taking their technology, upgrading it, and then when we're done with it, selling it back to them.
Still kind of puts us one step ahead, though, when you think about it.
It does put us one step ahead when it comes to the technology, but, and this is where our military does an amazing in what they do, right? It all comes down to training, because I can have the best guns in the world, but if I am not the operator that I need to be behind that barrel, it's not going to matter one way or the other, right? So here's the thing. We could have the best upgraded state-of-the-art technology and our operators not be the top-notch guys that we expect them to be, and you give somebody who is a top-notch operator an M1 carbine, now we've got a real big problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that aspect of it too. It's always the person behind the firearm, kind of like when we had that discussion way back when Griff was still here with us about you could literally lay any one of them down on a table, full mag loaded in them, shoot, kill me, please do something. It's gonna be the laziest gun you ever own because it's not the gun that kills people. It's the person behind the firearm that actually has the operational aspect of it with taking it off safety, aiming down the sight, squeezing the trigger, sending the round down range.
Absolutely. And that's actually going to bring us into our next topic. So for the Pro 2A news section, this is something that I want to talk about a little bit more in detail. If you guys aren't following what's going on in the Pro 2A news community, there's a lot of stuff going on with pistol braces and different things that the ATF is trying to put into law. And of course, like we talked about on the last show, they are not a legislative branch. They do not make laws. They can try to make rules, but they have to go through legislative branches, your Supreme Courts. There has to be rulings made on these different rules that they're trying to implement. So with that being said, I mean, obviously I'm kind of making myself a target here a little bit, but clearly you can see that's got an SBA 3 on it. Now, with the current barrel and suppressor and all of that stuff on it, which it's not pinned and welded at this moment, so it's not a permanent fixed muzzle device, allowing it to be a 16-inch barrel. But that's nor here nor there. We're not going to get into that right now. My CZ Scorpion also has a pistol brace on it, right? So we're going to get into pistol brace rules and things that are happening. Obviously, they released the rule a couple days ago in full format. It was already being discussed in December, things like that. But they're really trying to push on it now, and there's a lot of different agencies that are creating lawsuits against the ATF, and they're trying to fight back. So the video clip that I'm about to play, it's about a 7-minute video, but it's worth the listen. If you do own any AR pistols, because it is not an SBR, but that's what they're trying to fight. They're trying to call them SBRs, which they've already clarified before in the 2012 judgment, the 2015 judgment, and the 2017 judgment that it is not an SBR, but now they're trying to push that. These are going to be tips and things coming to you from the Washington News or something like that. I forgot the name of the clip, but we'll see it here in a little bit, where you can make adjustments to rectify your firearm to keep it compliant until all of this blows over. If that's something that you're in fear of, I lost my guns in a boating accident in the middle of a desert. Sorry, ATF.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, listen, we have spent many months and many hours geeking out and stressing out about ATF's new rule as it relates to firearms with attached stabilizing braces. And here's the crazy thing. We are stressing out about a rule that is still about 1 month away from being published and about 5 months away from actually becoming effective. What does all of this mean to us? Well, we don't know. That's the problem, and that's what's driving us nuts. What are we, in fact, heading into? Well, I got an idea. Rather than keep worrying all the time about what's coming and what are we going to have to go through, why don't we just figure out a way to, I don't know, work around the problem? So today I am going to give you a couple of suggestions. I am going to talk to you about some ways that we can work around it. So let's spend a few minutes a day and talk about the one easy way around the pistol brace amnesty fiasco. Okay, so the issue we're talking about now for about the 138th time is ATF's new proposed rules on firearms with attached stabilizing braces, better known as 2021 R-08, which is ATF's huge push to take as many AR pistols and reclassify them as short barrel rifles, subjecting all of us to regulation and taxation. Now, we have done several videos that we've started talking about. Can you reconfigure your firearm in ways that suddenly makes you exempt from the holdings of these rules? And yes, there are ways to do that. Now, one of the things we explained in this video right here is that if we had this AR pistol right here and we didn't want to go through the $49.99 club test or initiation, we could take this upper off, drop a 16-inch barrel on, and at that point we no longer are even concerned about having a short barrel rifle because the barrel is at least 16 inches. Let us remember that the applicable statute here for defining what is a short barrel rifle is 18 United States Code Section 921, specifically subsection 8, which reads as follows. The term short barrel rifle means a rifle having one or more barrels less than 16 inches in length, and any weapon made from a rifle, whether by alteration, modification, or otherwise, if such weapon, as modified, has an overall length of less than 26 inches. So again, we are looking for that magical 16-inch barrel length. So yeah, go ahead and throw in the 16-inch up or on there. But here is another way that no one is really talking about. It's pretty obvious when you think about it, but here's another workaround. Because when we take a look at how the federal government defines barrel length and how the ATF says we define barrel length and measure barrel length, this is what we are told. The ATF procedure for measuring barrel length is to measure from the closed bolt or breech face to the furthermost end of the barrel or permanently attached muzzle device. Okay, so what they are saying is from the closed bolt to the end of the barrel or any permanently attached muzzle device is how we're going to calculate barrel length. Now, the same paragraph in ATF regulations also states permanent methods of attachment include full fusion gas or electric steel seam welding, high temperature 1100 degrees Fahrenheit silver soldering, or blind pinning with pin head welded over. And the method that ATF would use to measure a barrel is as follows. Barrels are measured by inserting a dowel rod into the barrel until the rod stops against the bolt or breech face. The rod is then marked at the furthermost end of the barrel or permanently attached muzzle device, withdrawn from the barrel and measured. So as you can see, if we are permanently attaching a muzzle device, we get to include that in our barrel measurements. So there are two ways we can do this. Let's talk about the first way, which is, well, you were thinking about just going ahead and doing amnesty registration and making your AR pistol now an SBR and an NFA item. I have a better idea. If you're going to dip your toes into the waters of the NFA items, why not get a suppressor? And if you get a suppressor for your AR pistol, you could pin and weld, thus making the suppressor a permanent part of the firearm, which would be included in the overall length of the barrel measurement. Which means if we took this AR pistol that we had, which let's say a 10.5-inch barrel, and we now instead remove the muzzle device, add the suppressor, which is let's say 6.5 inches, we now have an overall barrel length of 17 inches. And yes, we have an NFA item, but the NFA item is not our short barrel rifle. We don't have a short barrel rifle. We have a suppressor. And then, of course, if you have zero interest whatsoever in going into the world of NFA Title II federally regulated firearms, which I could understand, then there are other ways in which you could permanently attach to the end of the barrel some other type of muzzle device. Whether it is a compensator, a flash suppressor, a muzzle brake, or anything like that, which would get the overall length of that barrel beyond that magical 16 inches, you no longer have to worry about whether or not you will qualify for the $49.99 club. Now listen, I'm sure that some of my viewers have a lot of experience in this, and I ask all of you to put comments down there about how these methods are conducted. What is the best method to do this? What is the worst method to do this? What have you learned from your experience, so our viewers, if they're interested in doing this, can in fact learn more about this process? So yeah, one of the easiest ways to just avoid this entire pistol brace amnesty fiasco is to permanently attach to your barrel right now, which is less than 16 inches, a muzzle device that puts you beyond that 16-inch limit. Listen, you may have more questions about this or anything related to ATF's proposed rules about firearms with attached stabilizing braces. And if you do, remember, you can always contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or of course you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now let's remember, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.
So with that, like we talked about with the pistol braces becoming an issue, these are my thoughts, and we've said this a bunch of times on this channel. I am not going to be censored by YouTube, by anybody. I'm going to say what is on my mind and what I believe. So currently, as it states, like I said, CZ Scorpion, pistol brace. AR-15 pistol, pistol brace. I do not have any intention of doing anything illegal. As I mentioned in that video, you can do a suppressor and permanently weld it to make it a permanently fixed item on your barrel. I will not make a move on anything until April, which is what he was talking about there. When if something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen in April. Which, of course, in this channel, I'm going to keep putting that content out there. Every time we get a big update, I'm not going to update it on every single show. But when there's big news that comes out about it, I will be sure to inform you guys on that. I will say this. With that being said, when they try to roll this out, and anybody who has a pistol brace on their firearm right now, do not, I am telling you, do not fall into the ATF's trap of trying to do a Form 1 where they're saying to you, we'll waive the $200 tax stamp and you'll have your SBR for free. That is a load of shit, okay? 100% load of shit, and this is why, okay? Right now, when you normally go and you apply for either e-filing or in a shop, Silencer Co., places like that to get these type of items, and you do the tax stamp registration with your passport photo and your fingerprints and all of these different things that you have to give them to get approved, what you're doing is you're putting yourself on a list. When you put yourself on that list, what do you think is going to happen? They will know exactly where you are, where that firearm is. When you're doing a Form 1, okay, Form 1 is taking a firearm before you get it, keyword before you get it, filing for the tax stamp to get it approved to then be able to purchase and actually own an SBR and or a suppressor, okay? Right now, this is where all of this becomes a big issue, is we're now doing it in reverse, okay? What they're trying to make us do is be a felon, first of all, 10 years imprisonment, first offense, all this crazy crap. But they're saying, oh yeah, you know, go ahead and fill out the Form 1 and we'll waive the tax stamp. Here's the problem with that. If your application is not picked up, processed, and approved before 88 days, it is an automatic denial, okay? Automatic denial in 88 days. Form 1s are taking, before all of this, over a year to physically receive your tax stamp. And that is before you even get the item that you paid for. So you go to like Silencer Co., you pay for the actual item, You file for the tax stamp. You do not leave the store with that item until you have received your tax stamp. You see what I'm saying? How this is going to make you a felon instantly, and you're putting yourself on a list where they can track you down. Now, there was a different YouTuber that I watched that was at SHOT Show, and they had actually walked up to the ATF. Dude's got balls of steel, and started grilling him and asking him questions. He brought up the fact that after 88 days, the denial happens. What actions will they take after a denial happens when somebody is trying to register for the waived tax stamp to make it a assault pistol, which is what they're calling it, and in reality, it's an AR pistol, okay? Making it a legal SBR. And the answer the guy got from the ATF originally was, I don't know, I'm going to have to reach out to a superior. First of all, you're making rules and your people don't even know them. That's a problem. So then he goes, who can I talk to at the ATF that does have the answer? He goes and speaks to somebody else. They don't know. Well, who can I contact at the ATF that can give me this information? Was asked again, but to this new person. Referred back to the first person he was talking to and was given a business card. And he goes, okay, I'm going to ask you again, what is going to happen if there is a denial after 88 days? Because if it's taking a year before you even get your tax stamp and they're already backlogged, what are you going to do when 40 million applications come in and you're already super behind? Ding. That's where they're going to get you, because they're never going to pick up your application. There is a 0.01% chance that your application will be picked up and approved before an 88-day mark. Do not make yourself a felon. I would rather you swap out your upper and go to a 16-inch upper to be legal, or permanently affix a long enough muzzle device to make it a 16-inch barrel, or do what I'm going to do, wait it out, and the day before something hits the fan, then I will make the modifications or whatever it is that I need to do to make my firearms compliant. Because I'm not going to break the law. I'm a law-abiding citizen when it comes to that stuff. But I'm not going to rush into a situation without fully thinking it out, especially when it comes to this. That's my piece on the Pro 2A news. Jax, I'm going to give you an opportunity to have your input.
Yep. Okay. My thing is again, we've said it many times before, we're not lawyers by any means. This isn't necessarily legal advice, but essentially you're pretty much damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, obviously keep checking back with us for further updates if something big comes out. There are other Pro 2A channels too that are tracking this just as we are, that you can go to for information if you're trying to do more research to figure out what's what, and kind of just make your own better judgment for you personally as the law-abiding gun owner, because that's who the ATF ultimately is trying to come for. And again, I don't know what they think that this is going to do, you know, to prevent mass shootings. And I say that with air quotations because 90% of the time, most shootings happen with a smaller caliber handgun. And AR, again, does not stand for assault rifle. It stands for Armalite, the company that made the rifle. So that's my take. Pro 2A news.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Statistics will show you, and if you do the research, which obviously I'm big into the community of firearms, most crimes are happening with pistols. Not AR pistols, but physical handguns. And of course, I'm glad that you let off with that, Jax, because that is going to take us into the next topic after we do our shout outs and sponsors. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start off with my shout outs. So with my shout outs, I want to shout out to Sight Shooter Wendy. once again, we talked about it on the last show. I'm going to be trying to work something out to get her onto the show physically. She is a local firearms instructor out here in Vegas. She deals primarily with brand new shooters that are looking to conceal carry. She starts you off with low caliber weapons. Most of the time, she supplies the weapons as well to give you different options to try before you physically go and buy a firearm, which is nice. She usually supplies a lot of the ammo and targets. Don't quote me on that. But sightshooter.com is Wendy's website where you can look at the different types of classes that she has. And then Tac Pack, I've been in contact with them recently where they're going to start sending out shipments again of their tactical gear boxes. It's a once a month monthly like subscription service. If you guys used to watch the show back in the day, we had a segment pretty much once a month where I did a whole unboxing of the Tac Pack box. They've upgraded significantly from when that was happening. They used to have only one level. It'd be a box with about $150 worth of stuff, and it was about $50 a month. They have like a tier 1 box now with like significantly more upgraded items. And some cool stuff. Like I've gotten like tomahawks and magazines and different little attachments like hand stops and things like that. But that's going to wrap it up for my physical shout outs. Now we're going to move over to Jax.
Yeah. So for me personally, me, Wes, and another buddy of mine are talking offline. And you know how Wes has that gaming side of things when we're not doing this. Ultimately, we are going to start getting into a Sincity tactical gaming side of things as well, so stay tuned for that. Check out the Facebook pages, the YouTube pages to watch the gameplay footage. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up too is, you know, we're more than willing to have multiple different guests on the show, whether you're pro 2A background or not. So eventually here, what I'd like to do is start putting out, you know, hints for the code word that you got to listen for. And if you message in onto the Sincity Tactical Minnesota division page on Facebook through the contact tab there with the correct keyword, you'll be entered in to a drawing to appear on an episode with us for a interview segment.
Absolutely. And with that, that code word, of course, we'll talk about it before it gets physically released. Not only is that going to entitle you to become a special guest on the show, it'll also get you a free merch item, whether that be like a shirt, a tank top, a long sleeve, something like that, where it's either going to have the MN division on it or maybe a combination shirt where you've got, you know, the regular brand, the Sincity Tactical logo on the front, MN division on the back, or vice versa. We're going to work something out where there's going to be some raffles and things like that going on. Once we get everything back up and running properly, we'll have our website back up to purchase merch. And when we talk about that as well, I do want to mention that we do have the Patreon pages. There is an MN Division Patreon page. There is a regular Sincity Tactical Patreon page. That is how we're able to do these shows, as viewers like you guys donating to help us get equipment, things like that, because we do not get paid. YouTube does not allow this content to be monetized. For the simple fact that I'm not going to be restricted on what I'm able to say and talk about, and of course they're against 2A content, period. So any support you guys can do on either one of the Patreons does go back to help make the production of the show better. And that's pretty much it for the shout outs and sponsors. Let's go ahead and move right into our tactical gear review.
Gotcha.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start our tactical gear review with Jax.
What's up, guys? So, you know, obviously, you know, I'm kind of a Milwaukee guy myself. Personally, I love the tools and equipment they make. Another everyday carry item of mine when I get up and leave the house, whether it be for work or on weekends. I have my personal leather EDC knife on me, but the good old Milwaukee Fastback. Now, there's two different kinds of them. I've got both. I personally carry the one that has extra blade storage. Number one, you never want to have dull blade, no matter what the situation is, cutting a box open, taking and cutting up plastic, whatever it is, especially if you're in a situation where you're kind of stranded and you need to makeshift something, and the only thing you really have on you outside of your, you know, everyday carry gun or blade, it's always nice to have a box opener with a razor blade in it. It's got a push button here, device, flick of the wrist, let go of the button, pops it open, push that back in, flick of the wrist, close. Belt clip, seat belt cutter, which is really nice, especially up here in the winter times. You get stuck off in a ditch, car rolls over, you need to get out and get off the X in that kind of a situation as well. That's a quick way to get out of your seatbelt. So that's kind of one of those things for 15-20 bucks for a 2-pack that comes with both blades. It's well worth the money, and it's worth carrying. And now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move over to Wes.
All right, for my tactical gear item, kind of like he was talking about, he talked about a blade. I'm going to talk about a firearm. So as you can see here, because of course on a live stream, I'm not allowed to physically handle a firearm because, ooh, scary things. Glock 43X, really good carry gun. Not my preferred carry gun. I unfortunately don't have my everyday carry firearm on the wall because it's an everyday carry. So I personally carry a P365 everywhere I go. Got it everywhere. Carrying it to protect yourself, protect your family, protect innocent civilians in situations is something that I'm willing to risk my own life for in the event that needed to be done. Like Jack said, get off the X. That's a big thing, of course. You take a CCW course, that's more than likely one of the first things they're going to say. If you can find a different situation and get out, do that, obviously. The gun is the last resort. It is not a toy. It is a tool. It is a means to an end to protect yourself. I'm going to plug a company real quick. They are not a sponsor of this channel. At the moment, at least, we're working towards that. But the USCCA is concealed carry insurance, something that I think anybody who has a CCW should have. They will cover lawyer fees. They will bail you out of jail. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing. You can train on the gun. You can be very proficient with the gun. You can be very accurate and very deadly with that firearm in the event that it needed to be used. No one ever teaches you about what happens or how to deal with what happens after the trigger is pulled. You are going to jail. Justified or not, justifiable homicide, protecting a civilian, you are going to jail, okay? And if you don't know how to handle that situation, you could incriminate yourself and go to prison forever, even though it's 100% justified. So that was a quick little plug for them. Like I said, they are not a sponsor. And any of the videos that you saw earlier being played, we do not own the rights to that content. It is part of the Copyright Act that we can use it for educational purposes with free media. So that's just a disclaimer there. But my tactical gear item is going to be a minimalist inside the waistband holster for like appendix carry, or you can do like the 3 o'clock, the 5 o'clock. Sometimes I like to carry physically at 6 o'clock. Behind the back, I'll flip my little belt clip here to the other side to make it a left hand holster. So then, hey, give me your wallet. Okay, reaching for my wallet. We're reaching for my wallet. Boom. Got my hand on the gun. Draw up, out, and I'm in the fight if I need to be. So there's different ways to carry, but a good inside the waistband holster is extremely important. I see Renee is commenting in the chat. Thank you, Renee, for watching the show and putting your input in. Greatly appreciated. It looks like you have a P365 as well. I know that's a gun me and you have personally talked about in person, and I know that you like it. So I'm glad that I was able to help you when it came to finding that. Now, naturally, when we went to the gun store and did that whole thing, I didn't try to persuade him one way or the other. I took him over to the concealed carry case, talked about the Glock 43X, the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, the 365, the Hellcat. We talked about different guns, put a lot of guns in his hands to be able to learn what's going to feel comfortable to him. And then we've gone out and actually shot a couple times, and he rather enjoys it, which is awesome. That's the whole idea behind this thing. And then Mary Soul, Renee's girlfriend, also came out. Not an avid shooter. To me, it was her first time shooting. I know she mentioned to me that she had some firearm experience, but she was willing to learn, and she enjoyed that experience as well. So guns are not as scary and dangerous as people think. They are a tool. All right, they're fun, but they are a tool at the end of the day. Minimalist holster or a regular full shell appendix carry inside the waistband holster is good as well. I prefer this one because it does have the little paddle wing here that pushes against the belt. So when this hooks over and sits in your waistline, without that, it's going to sit kind of cockeyed, and that could print your firearm. The wing pushes against your belt to keep it straight, and that allows you to hide it a little bit better. I'm a bigger guy, so I've got some extra weight in places where it kind of makes it harder to conceal a weapon. This definitely helps me do that. Now, this one is a trigger guard holster. It's just going to cover my trigger and the trigger guard itself to where I can't get my hand in there. This is not a holster that you pull your gun out to show somebody and try to put it back in. It's not going to operate that way. You keep it in the gun, or you keep the gun in the holster the whole time. You draw that firearm out. You need to remove this, reattach it to your firearm, and then reapply your holster to your person. There's other style holsters where you can in and out. I like quick. I can grab this, get full purchase. I'm not worried about the holster being in the way of me getting a purchase on my firearm, because seconds are crucial in a gunfight. If you are not quicker than the other guy, you're going to have a very bad day. So let's go ahead and bring Jax back in on the 2-cam. Jax, what's your input?
Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, purchase on the firearm, aiming down the sights, breath, trigger squeeze, whole nine, fundamentals that we always talk about when it comes to actually training on your firearm. That every second counts in a life or death situation. And ultimately, the only way you're going to get better at it is practice, 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 practice. They say practice makes perfect. And honestly, this is one of those things that really, really, like 110% apply to that law.
Couldn't say it any better than myself. But that is going to wrap up our show. I want to say thank you guys again for viewing in, watching the Sin City Tactical Show. Our new schedule is going to be once every other week. So today is our show. Next week there will not be a show like this. We're probably going to have our gaming channel up and going. The games that we're going to be running are GTA 5, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and we're also going to probably be starting up Red Dead Redemption 2 as well, to give you guys a bunch of different things that you can watch and hang out and even join us in game. We run a lot of heists on the GTA 5. We'll run them back to back to back to back. And then, of course, Renee, the guy who's commenting here in the chat, is a beast at Modern Warfare 2. He plays. I've got a couple other dudes from work. Jax has got it as well. So we're going to have some fun times on the gaming channel side. But our show physically is going to be once every other week in this format. Jax?
Indeed. And, also on the same side of that too, possibly depending on how we can work it, I'd like to get Madden 22 at least up and running, because I don't know if 21 is going to work on 5 on your end. So, if we can get back to doing that as well, that'd be great. And this way it kind of gives everybody some flavor.
I think you need to upgrade to Madden 23. Because I've got
Yeah,
that already.
I mean, but yeah, I'm debating it because I was already told by another buddy of mine up here who already bought it. He told me, he's like, bro, it's really not worth it. It's like Madden 22, but just with an upgraded roster.
Pretty much. I mean, there's a couple of different things that have changed a little bit on the game, but not too much. But all right, guys, we want to say thank you. Jax?
Thank you guys. And, now that we're back, I'm happy about it and can't wait till the next one.
We'll catch you guys later.